putting on your intelligence hat here, what right now are U.S. intelligence agencies looking for, doing, fearful of?
Well, first of all, it is quite surprising this has gone on that long. Secondly, I'd say it's also a surprise that we haven't really gotten any information from any other country, and I think presumably the plane flew over a number of them. I think that they, like the Malaysians themselves, who are after all in charge of the investigation, are pretty much a tabula rasa. They're really starting from the beginning. I don't think anything definitive out there, and I think everything we've heard so far is more of a theory and a hypothesis, and there's nothing yet that's been concrete enough to fill in behind those initial suspicions.
You can't go down just one road yet.
I don't think so.
And we do know from the reporting from our Barbara Starr that intelligence officials do think the most likely is that someone inside the cockpit did this, that they had to be experienced.
Well, having been the Director of National Intelligence and having spent a number of years dealing with intelligence, I'd be wary of putting forward just a single hypothesis like that. I mean, for all I know, we're going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be some very startling new fact, totally contrary to all the prior speculation, that is going to help explain this event more easily.
And so if you look at it from obviously the first thing anybody thinks these days when anything happens with an airplane is there had to be terrorism at play. And there is a difference between somebody involved in a criminal activity or somebody who may be intent on suicide or a hijacking and a terrorist activity. What about the threads that are out there, and as you say there are very few, would sort of raise your hackles?
Well, I think the government is doing well to investigate not only the pilot and the co-pilot, but all the passengers. Secondly, it really caught my attention at the very beginning of this story that the co-pilot, that these two ladies stepped forward with photographs of him having allowed them in the cockpit, and then the pictures that were taken afterwards. So it suggests a bit of laxity of discipline up in the front of the airplane. I thought that was striking. But, you know, I think all doors and all possibilities, in my mind, are still open.
And when you look at the idea of people on, and apparently the folks that were using stolen passports, not much was turned up there. Does that surprise you?
Well, and they happen to be Iranian nationals, if I'm not mistaken. Right. It's potentially a surprising matter as well. But I think that's another reason to scrub the backgrounds of all of those individual passengers.
And would it be unusual, do you think, for this to have been, I think one of the reasons that some people think, oh, it's not terrorism, it has to be something else, is that there's been no one going, we did this, by the way, we did this. Because the purpose of terrorism is to terrorize, and this is a mystery that, you know, hasn't been solved.
To be honest, I just have no idea.
And I think that's where most, who is working on what at this point? I did talk to a source at the CIA yesterday who said, we're pinging everybody we know. We're pinging, you know, agencies that we work with. We're pinging sources. And what other things are being done?
Well,
we
have good relationships with the country of Malaysia. I'm sure they're sharing with us quietly all the information that could help us follow up leads. We have large databases. We have great expertise about aircraft. I think there's much that we can contribute to the investigation, but we got to remember they're the ones who have got the lead in carrying this thing out.
Well, it was their plane, and they were the point of departure. Correct. What do you make of this idea that, oh, well, maybe they landed it somewhere and they're retrofitting it with bad things and going to use it as a big missile? No.
Well, it's another
so
theory, but it's pretty wild, I would say.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
I guess somebody said to me last night, well, I would have thought it was pretty wild for people to learn how to fly a plane and fly it into buildings in New York. Mm-hmm. So you can't totally rule it out, but does that sound improbable?
Well, it means that they would have had to land on an airstrip that's capable of accommodating that size of aircraft, or even more importantly, be able to take off from it. I suppose you can land on a relatively imperfect field, but then how do you take off again? I mean, there are a lot of questions that would occur to me that I would ask the intelligence analysts to take a look at.
And so going forward, the interest of the U.S. in this, obviously you want to be helpful in any kind of aviation accident, because we have obviously have planes, we have 777s and all of that. But in terms of just what we would want to explore going forward.
Well, there are we have multiple interests in this. First of all, aircraft safety, airline safety. Is there some flaw in the maintenance of that airplane? Is there something wrong with the procedures at the Kuala Lumpur airport? Secondly, the issue of terrorism. Was there a terrorist act? If so, by whom and so forth? So those are at least two very important interests, among others.